Hello and welcome to the 100 Indie Artists Project. This is a music project designed for and by independent artists to help you firstly get to know some of the incredible musicians in your community, as well as get to know some insights and some tools that you can take on board with your own musical marketing journey. Tell us about who you are as an artist and your background.
So my name's Marie Hopkinson. I'm a singer-songwriter from Perth, Western Australia. And I've been doing music for a long time, but not really formally, or let's say with the intent to put out songs into the world until the last 2 years, really. So 2020 was the first year, or just late 2019. 2018 I kind of started writing songs and putting them out into the world. So maybe 3 years. We kind of forget about COVID, yeah. But yeah, so I've always had music as part of my life. I started learning music when I was 4 years old. I really wanted to learn the violin. As a 4-year-old, I'd seen it on TV. I used to watch Sesame Street, and then this orchestra would come on afterwards and I'd watch it. Mum said I used to go and point to the TV and say, I want to learn that, and point out the violin like day after day after day. And Mum didn't really know that kids could learn the violin. I was the first kid out of 4 kids that Mum and Dad had, and we all ended up learning the violin, and I really got a lot of joy out of playing it, and also a lot of discipline out of playing it. I'm not a very good violinist, but it led me to lots of other things. It led me to learn the cello, which I really love. And when I went to high school, I got a scholarship for music at my high school for cello and singing. And I started learning professional, proper, like what they call choral singing. So learning how to sight read singing. Now, I hated that. I absolutely hated it. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think I would want to be a singer. And I never thought I'd want to get into the music industry, because I kind of thought, one, it was just going to be too hard and I wouldn't make any money out of it, let alone a living out of it, and all that kind of stuff. And to be honest, at that point in my life, it wasn't about a song that I wanted to write. I thought if I wanted to get into music, it'd be because I want to be famous and I want to be, a famous musician and make that your career, as you do, get the fame, fortune and fabulous prizes that you think you probably deserve when you're 16 years old. So I'd kind of put that out of my mind, and really it wasn't anything that I ever tried to kind of pursue. And I used to just do music through my local church, and I learned how to become a good singer or performer in singing through having to be part of that and do that and just learn as you went along. And that's what I did. And then I've gotten into sort of songwriting in the last few years. I thought one day I was busy with my businesses, and I used to sometimes bring my guitar into my shop. I had a retail shop, and I was like, I'm gonna start doing my songwriting. And I was just so busy. And then I found myself in a position a few years ago where I'd moved out of my store and I had this space and this kind of time. And that's when I wrote that song, Time in Your Hands. And that's the song that's become the most popular song that I've put out so far. So that's probably a bit of a long-winded answer to that question, but that's my background in music. So I have had a background in formal training of music, but I also have probably learned a lot of the stuff through self-learning. So guitar is something that I use to play for my songs. I play acoustic guitar sometimes on my live streams or things like that for people, and I also use that as a basis to write the songs. And that's all been self-taught, in the way to write a song. We never were taught that at music school. We were always just sort of more taught the formal things about music, not how to write a pop song or anything like that.
What musical projects are you working on right now?
So I've got a new song that's coming out on the 17th of June. That is going to be called Tear Out Your Heart, and that's a single off of an album that I'm working on, and that album will hopefully come out this year in 2022. So I'm working on my first album to bring out, and it's going to have that song and a few other ones that I've put out, so people can find those on my Spotify and the rest of that kind of stuff if they're interested in finding out about the kind of music I do. So that's what I'm working on. I've got to write one more song. I've got 9 songs written for this particular album project. So I've been working on that and just refining the songwriting, making it better, and working with a producer to help make the songs good. And that's been awesome. That's that's been fantastic.
Where do you feel that you're at in your musical journey right now, and where would you like to get to?
So I guess I'm at the place where I decided I wanted to pursue this because I felt like my songs have something, I've got something to say with my songs. And it's not for me, like when I was 16, I probably would have pursued music if I thought, I actually had a thought, well, I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not sexy enough, I'm not thin enough. I wasn't even I wasn't even overweight then or anything, but I just used to think, oh, I'm not a model, so I won't be able to do it. And that was probably good advice to myself, because it is a hard industry to break into that. But where I'm at with things at the moment is I really feel like I want people to find my music and relate to the songs, and that's what I've been able to do so far, and that's given me hope that that's possible through the marketing that I've done through social media. I feel very fortunate that I found the right people to kind of help me to do that, and I want to continue to do that. And I really enjoy the feedback that I get from fans about the songs that I've written. That's been so powerful, and that kind of inspires you to write more songs, or that you've got an audience there of people that are actually interested in hearing something more from you. And you don't need that to get started, and you don't need that to continue on, right? I would keep doing it for me. I part of the writing of the songs and the producing of the songs is also for me. Like, it's a lot of money for you, right? But I was thinking about this the other day. Like, even if no one ever heard that album, that would be sad. I would be very sad. But it's also something for you. Like, I feel like I've produced a piece of me in a quality way, and other people have helped to work on that, and that has a benefit to me personally. And it's almost like, if you spend 10 grand Australian dollars, that's how much it's cost me to make one album that I've been working on. So I've got 2 album projects that I'm doing at the moment. So I kind of did a 10-song project, and I'm not going to release that until a little bit later. But let's say to make a 10-song project album, it costs about 10 grand to do that. Like, it costs you about $1,000 Australian a song to make. That's how much it's cost me. And I would think, like, you'd pay that much in therapy to get the benefit that I've gotten out of it. So it's a $10,000 therapy bill. That's one way to kind of think about it, right?
What do you love most about being an independent artist?
I mostly love the independence of being independent. Now, I'm an independent person. I'm an autonomous person. I love autonomy. Like, that's the number one value for me, is probably freedom and autonomy. And autonomy is the ability to make your own decisions and be free to do so, right? Now, I've thought about this question a lot, because when I started working with my marketing guy, he said to me, look, what can happen is you can build up a fan base, and then a label might come along and say they want to scoop you up, or they want to take you to the next thing and whatever. And I was like, well, why would I do that? Like, I would never want to risk. Now, it's always a risk, and I don't want to say never, but I would hate to risk someone telling me, oh, you can't write a song about that, Marie. Or, you've written this song, but we don't want you to put that out, Marie. And I kind of had this thought once, this process that I went through when I was getting started in doing this. So I think it was probably 2018 when I decided, right, I'm going to start writing these songs. And I'd written 1 or 2 songs and just put them on my Facebook page, like a private page that I had, like my personal page, I think. I didn't even have a formal music page. And I was like, I'm just going to put this out there and see what my friends think about this. And it was just me singing with my guitar and, whatever. And then I'd done a few of those, and I had a little YouTube channel, and then someone had contacted me to say, could you come on one of these shows? And I was like, I'd never do that. I don't even watch those shows. And I kind of don't know. And also, you have to think, like, I'm a pretty I know a lot about a lot of things, but the music industry is something I don't know anything about at this point. I don't know how it works, and it's very mysterious. Like, who opens these doors? Can you do that yourself? How do these things work? Like, when you're in, it's like when you go to someone's home and you're like, how does this culture work around here? Like, what do we do? So that then you can feel comfortable, and you can start, once you have like competence in that area, you can start to exercise your autonomy, right? So you need those things to actually achieve something. You need competence, you need relatedness, you need autonomy to do that stuff. And like, so if you don't know anything about how the industry works, you don't have the confidence to go about making decisions and moving forward in a particular way, because you're like, oh, if I put all this effort into this way, perhaps that's the wrong way. I'm not really sure what to do. So when this person approached me through social media to say, oh, come on this, come and do audition for this show, I was like, yeah, I don't really want to do that. But I did it because I was like, well, maybe I'm not the person who's going to open these doors. And I hadn't met the marketing person that I'm using now to help me. And I was looking for a way. Like I wanted to make my album as well. And I hadn't met the producer that I'm using now. And it was very mysterious in your mind about how much money is this all going to cost. And I didn't have a lot of money. I was struggling with my business at the time. And I was that was when I had my shop. And I was like my overheads for my business were a lot. So I didn't have any excess surplus money where I was like, well, I can just make my album with this $10,000 that I happen to have. And believe me, if I thought it cost 10 grand to make a 10-song album, I never would have started doing it because I didn't have to pay that money up front, as is pay as you go. And the next thing you know, you've made one song, then you've made 5 songs, then you may as well make 10 songs. And that's kind of how it worked for me. So anyway, back to that part of the story. I was thinking, well, should I go on this thing or not? And anyway, I did the audition process. I sent in a video and they were like, yeah, you can come to this next thing. And so I went to this audition in the city. There was a big room and lots of people were there. And I felt like I was the oldest person in the room. I was like, oh, these are all young people. And that hasn't ever bothered me because I've often been the youngest person in the room in the opposite situation. So I was like, that doesn't really bother me. But there was a lot of time, and I'm not a time waster, but I had to kind of spend a whole half a day there waiting for a chance to go through this door and do your show or whatever, do your song. And I was like, this is what I really want to do. Like, what do I want to do? Like, what if this did happen? What would I do? And I was thinking, you know what? I don't know if I really want to be controlled like this. Like, I don't know if I certainly wouldn't want to be controlled on a TV show and have some sort of perception of me put out there that maybe I wasn't happy with, or what if they, that kind of thing. So I really value the conundrum with being independent is you don't have the money, you have to provide the money yourself. Now that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if you can provide the money, you've got both of those things and you're good to go. So you might be feeling like, if you're an independent artist watching this and you think, oh, I wish I could just get signed by a label, or I wish I could just get that. It's not necessarily the be all and end all, I think, and certainly I found that with the way I've been able to approach things through social media. We have the opportunity to reach the people that actually are going to love your music. Now, I haven't got to the point of selling any album yet. I've done some little pre-release things for some of my fans, a year ago, and that was quite successful, but I haven't actually launched anything where I've said, hey, come and pay, everybody come and buy something. So I don't know if you could make that money back or make a living out of it, because I haven't kind of got to that point yet, but everything's kind of pointing in the right direction for me as an artist already, like that. I'm doing it independently. So I think the thing I love the most about being independent is the independence and the ability to go, I can make a song about anything I want and I can suffer the consequence of that. But no one's going to tell me, Marie, you can't put that song out in the world. I can write about what I feel that I want to write about.
What do you find the most challenging about being an independent artist?
I think that I've just kind of answered that question already. Like, the challenging thing is the money, right? I think that's the most challenging thing, is firstly probably the direction, like knowing, am I going in the right direction or not? Because if you have a limited amount of money and you think, I'm going to we all have limited amount of money, but some people have millions and other people have hundreds or tens of dollars of money. But if you have a certain amount of money that you think, I'm happy to put this into my art and see what happens. If you're sure of the directions right, then you're already on a better trajectory than someone who's not sure. And so when something's not working as you thought it might work, it's very easy to go, oh, I'll go over here, maybe I'm not doing it right, and that kind of thing. So it very much helped me to find the marketing mentor that I use, and like he's a music mentor, so he's had industry experience in the music industry, and he also specializes in helping independent artists find an audience. That's probably his main specialty. And that's enabled me to go from no people, like I had 500 people on my Facebook page when I met him, and most of those were people that I'd done a few little Facebook ads actually, and showed my music to a few people and had people jump on my page. But most of those people were just family and friends and people who knew my music from that way. So I was super fortunate to find that. And so I think before I found him, I was reading books, I was looking for things, I was going on YouTube channels and like sucking up this knowledge like a vacuum cleaner, looking for who am I going to follow and how have they got a plan I can follow and a way I can follow. And yeah, I would have probably gone with another person if I hadn't have found Rob through that process, because I was like knowing that I couldn't kind of do this myself, and probably also the experience of running a business all from scratch myself, realizing that over the 20 years or so that I've been running businesses, my natural nature is just to try my hardest to do it myself. And I've realized over time by looking at other business people that I know, sometimes it's better to get the help and pay for the help if it's the right person to pay for up front than try to do it yourself, because that ends up costing you more money in the long run. And loss of opportunity and loss of money is also a loss. So we all have limited time, and if I can, and this is why I'm happy to pay other people to work on the album stuff with me, because for me to kind of go, oh no, Marie, and this is how I used to think. I used to think, if I make an album, I have to play the instruments myself. Right? If there's guitar, I have to play it. I mean, I don't know if I would have thought that, but I was like, oh, it has to be my band or something like that. But it doesn't have to be like that. Like, other people can play these things and they do it heaps better than I do. And I know other singers, songwriters, and they're kind of just songwriters because they don't even sing, and they get other people, they write the songs and they don't even sing the songs, and they put that stuff out as independent artist projects. There's people that do that too. So you don't have to do it all. And so that should, if that applies to music, surely it applies to marketing and that kind of stuff as well.
What has been your experience in marketing and promoting your music?
I think I've mentioned a bit about this. So I've tried it myself. I've tried a few ways, and I also think you have to get over this idea of like, well, if I'm paying for it, it's not really true fans, or I'm kind of cheating. Well, the industry is doing that all the time. Like, people don't realise that. I just had a chat with a colleague I'm starting a new show, a podcast thing, and he has a lot of industry experience through being signed with labels and record companies and things like that, and also knowing people in the industry that, you know, there's a pay that he knows a lot about that pay to play kind of system. And it's actually like, people record companies put out millions of dollars like to launch an artist into the industry and just get radio stations to play their songs so much so that people become familiar with it, and then they just like it because of that. And so, like, that's, in one sense, my experience is knowing that. I've always kind of had this, not always, but I've had this awareness for a little while now, and you're competing against that on one sense. But on the other sense, what I love about Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and these kind of platforms is this is a completely new opportunity that we have to be able to reach people who are genuinely interested in what you do, and you can interact with those people. So I think that's a great opportunity. Now, through doing that, I've spent a significant amount of money on my marketing, almost as much money as I spent on making one album, right? And I haven't even tried to sell it yet. That's just on promoting and getting people to my Facebook page and trying to build up my Instagram, and also build up an email fan mail list. So people like build up people that genuinely want to interact. And what I'll do with those people is I'll do things like ask them, like, for instance, here's a little picture that I've drawn. It's not a picture I've drawn, it's a painting that I've done for the latest album art, and actually ended up not using that one. But I had made several paintings and done some other graphic design and things like that. And I sent them to my fans, and I sent them to 1,600 fans who are my email fans. And I said, hey, which out of these 5 things, which one would you choose? And I find that process good for me because I want to give people what they want. And I'm not too fussed about the album art. Like, it's just a thing that has to be done, right? It's not like, oh, here's my chance to shine as a graphic designer. Like, I do make it myself, actually. Or let's say I got someone else to make it, even if I've done these kind of logo things where you get other people to make a logo for you. That is, to me, a huge benefit. Like, I've got this pool of people I can ask. But not only that, is it they love it because they actually say, thank you so much for asking. I sent out a thing a few months ago asking which single do you think I should release, and sent out a little sample of 3 songs. And then, and I didn't do that to all of the fans. I just sent it to 20 or 25 fans, I think 25 fans that had interacted with me on a previous thing that I'd sent to them. So I do that quite regularly. Sometimes I'm writing a new song and I have an idea and I might send it out as a way to engage with people, to get them to know that I do care. And because when people write back, you've got to email them back, and I try to do that as much as I can. If I've got fans watching this and they're like, no, you never email me back, well, I do my best to do that stuff. So it's a lot of time that you invest in it. So it's not time wasted, but it's time that you have to invest in doing that. And you do need to spend money on it. But this question is about what's my experience been. So I've actually had an overall positive experience. I've done other marketing and I've had from different businesses, and I've had people comment negatively on things. I've not even had hardly any negative comments. I mean, about my music. And in one song, I've got 1 million views on my Facebook video, and I've built that up through targeting people through organic reaches and through Facebook ads. To find people that are genuinely interested in it. And I've only had 1 comment after all that million of views, and thousands of comments, literally thousands and thousands of comments on posts with that video. And most of them are genuine people that have interacted with the song, saying this song helped me. I mean, I even had people email me and private message me or put in the comments. Like I could show you their comments. They're genuine comments, right? People have comments about what they think the song is about. Let me just see if I can kind of find these here. I'll put them in a little file here. And sometimes what I do is when I'm feeling a bit like, not really sure what song to write next, or everyone goes through times where they feel despondent or think, is this working? Am I doing it right? It's good to have those things in a little file, and then you can kind of read it. So, I've got a file here about why people like my music. Someone said, Marie, one of the many reasons I love your music is that it comes from your heart and that has a powerful and positive message. So I'm reading that directly off their comments, and he says, thank you again. This person, another one, said, Marie, I really had a tough time in the last 6 months, and your music has been one of the factors that have comfortably brought me back into a life that I never thought possible. I met this wonderful lady who I adore, and your music has been fantastic in my dark time. Long may it continue. Then that's genuine. Like, I've had someone say that they'd lost their whole family and they were just living on a mountain with a dog, and that it's these tragic stories. I had someone privately message me and ask could they use my song at their son's funeral. So it's sometimes touching, like more touching than you think, and it's lovely to be a part of people's lives, I guess, and it's kind of a privilege, like, to think of it like that. So that's, if I wouldn't have been able to get any of that without marketing the music, without putting it out there and spending the money to market it. So it's an expensive way to help people, but it's a good way to help people, and I feel like I want to make the world a better place. I hope the world's a better place because I've bothered to put that music there. And if through the fortune of my life I have the surplus money, or I have the ability, I mean, I'm not a surplus money person, but if I have the ability to earn enough money to be able to put the money into the marketing of the music, and just if all I get is those comments back, it's in some way worth it to me, right? It's a you can't put a price on that. Now, you also can't go to the shops and I can't buy a loaf of bread with with a comment either, right? I can't pay my rent with compliments, but it is a way of receiving something back that I don't think you can buy those things with. It's not something you can put a price on.
What has been one thing you've learnt along the way that has been the biggest game changer for you in music marketing?
So two things, and this one would be directly relating to the marketing that I've done, the Facebook ads and things like that. One is probably just the realization that it's okay, like you're not unsuccessful if you have to pay to get it out. Like people aren't just going to find you. And certainly the way Facebook works now, when Facebook first came out, you had a lot of what they call organic reach. Like you'd put something out and lots of people would find it. And naturally, and I used to think, if you're paying for it, then you're not paying for it. It's different. Like you're not paying a clickbot thing to like say, I've got these fake followers or things like that. You're actually able to reach. It's a platform that enables you to reach all those people that actually, can genuinely find you. So you have to get over that mindset. Like it is going to cost you money. But if your art's cost you to put it out there, you may as well spend that money. It's worth that money to put that. And if you were with any decent kind of label or whatever, they'd have to do that anyway. So everyone knows that's part of it. You've got to do that. You can't just do that. Now, once you get people in your page or into your Facebook or your Instagram account or on your TikTok, you still need organic content. You still need to do that. Like there's still a value in that, and there's a need for that, because if you don't provide that, then those things won't work within themselves either. So you need both. You need the paid and you need the organic stuff that you do, the creative stuff as well. I think the game changer that probably hit me the hardest at the start of all this was, like, as an artist and a songwriter, like I kind of like, because to me the songs were about the message of the song, right? To me it's the lyrics, and the mood of the song helps to create that. But because I wasn't very good at doing any producing stuff, like I used to try with those things, and I get very frustrated. Like I was really into Pro Tools at one time, and I was like, but it would just be arduous to use and take a lot of time, and you'd not get any better. And I was like, I'll mix beats and I'll do these things, and I was terrible at it, right? And then I think it's also not knowing what other people can do for it, but do to make a song better. But for me, I was like, so my first experience with this whole process was I was with a band, and they had heard some of this stuff that I'd put out on social media, and like just me with my acoustic guitar, and they said, Marie, your songs are really good, like we should play some of them with the band, and we should start doing some of those live with the band. And I was like, okay, that's a great idea, let's do that. And so we started practicing, and then they were like, we've recorded an album before with like a CD, a promo CD, which they had just done with covers and things like that, with a producer in Perth. And bear in mind, I haven't had any experience with this. I don't know any other musos. I'm not in that scene very much. I just had literally just joined this cover band. And they said, you could call up this guy, and, he's quite reasonable. The prices aren't expensive. Because at this point, I'm just thinking, it's going to be thousands of dollars that I don't have. And what do I get for that? Not so much what do I get for that money, but like, I don't know, am I creating a rod for my own back? And what if how am I going to get this? Like you don't know what you don't know. You don't know how much money all this is going to cost and how much time it's going to take and everything. And so I called him up, and that was Rob. So that's the story of how I kind of met the producer that I'm working with now, Rob. So we went there, I called him up, and I made a time for the band, and I didn't even know how you do any of this stuff. And he didn't know that I didn't know any of this stuff either, I don't think. Maybe he did. Because I think I don't know, he's a really smart guy, but like I was just like, I want to make a CD, I want to make an EP, we want to record 5 songs, and I was expecting it all to get done in that one day, because I was like, we're just doing it in one day and that's it. And he's like, are you recording the vocals? So I was like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't we do that? Like, yeah, of course. I didn't know you did several takes of something. I was just like, we'll just sing it one time and it'll be good. So that's what we did, and we recorded 4 songs on that day. And I put 2 of those songs out. But one of the songs that I wanted to do, we didn't have time. And I said, no pun intended, but the song was called Time in Your Hands. But we didn't have time on that day. And I said to him, can I come back another time? So I got these songs back and I'd had to listen to them. And I just chucked them on Spotify, 2 songs on Spotify, as a way to, okay, my music's out there. Hopefully people will find it. And I was so excited, like, to have done something. And it was a really exciting thing. And those are great. One of them's a really great song. Well, they're both good songs, but one of them's a really great song, but it wasn't produced properly because Rob didn't know I was going to just put it on Spotify, and I didn't even know a song had to be mastered. I was just like, oh, well, you've given me it now. It sounds good back to me. I'm just going to put it out. And it's like, isn't this Spotify thing good? You can just upload it yourself, like, instantaneously. Anyway, so I'm a bit of a gung-ho person. I just go, right? I just decide something and I go. And I'll just work it out myself. And how do you know what you don't know? So anyway, I went back and I said to him, I've got these songs I want to do these extra songs. Can I make another time? So I had 4 other new songs. And one of them was this one I wanted to do. And so I started playing the songs. I was like, I just want you to record me acoustically, because I was thinking, I just want to get this done on the cheap as well. And I'll just make these acoustic songs and we'll add them to this band thing and we'll make a little CD out of it. That's what I was thinking. So I sit there and I play the song, and Rob was like, oh, that's a really good song. And I said, yeah, I know. And he's like, what are you going to do with this? And I was like, oh, I just want you to mix it a little bit and give it back to me like you did with the others, and I'm going to put it on Spotify. And he goes, oh, I wouldn't do that. I was like, what do you mean? You just said it was a really good song. And he goes, oh, but you need to work on it more. I was like, oh. So I felt really disappointed. Like, you just said it was a good song. And for me, I was almost like, this is how I've written the song. Like, the song came to me with this acoustic guitar and my voice. It has to be that. That's what I was... I don't know why. I just used a thing like that. But I was like, that's the song. The song is that. It's a little acoustic version. And he's like, oh, you can work on it more, right? And again, this comes back to things like, if you don't kind of come up with these ideas yourself, I was like, well, it's not really my song. It's not really a thing, but didn't know how this process can work from here. So he's like, make another time and come back and work on it more. And I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go with the money. Here we go with the process. I'm not sure about what to do. And I probably, because I felt like we were getting along, and I was like, there was a trust there, and I was like, this is okay. I'll go along with this. I wasn't feeling like, sometimes you feel like, oh, these people are just there. They're just there to suck up your money. I was actually enjoying the process. I was like, yeah, okay. And I'm very novelty orientated. Like, I like new things. I like novelty. I like, oh, this is something new. What are we going to be doing here? Like, the mystery of it. I don't mind that. As long as you have a fairly good idea that you're not going to be taking it to someone's dungeon and nothing's, never be heard from again. Anyway, so I went back to the studio and started working on it again. He opened out the song in a Logic file, and then he said, what's your influence for this song? I was like, what do you mean? Because what do you feel, what are your influences, or what are your references, I think he said. And I didn't even know what that meant. And I said, I'm not sure, like, just the song is like it is. He goes, oh, well, is you open to ideas? And I was like, yeah. He goes, oh, well, I kind of feel like it might have a Portishead kind of vibe and this kind of thing. And he starts to find beats and ideas and stuff like that. And next thing you know, we had the song How People Can Hear It Now. And it's like a down-tempo electronic kind of song. So got rid of the acoustic guitar and all this. And I was blown away at that point. I was like, wow, like this idea that I could have this idea and someone else could transform it. Like, and then I could get involved in that process too. And I could have ideas and I don't have to fuck about on my Logic program. Or at that point I wasn't using Logic. I was trying to still use my Pro Tools. And so I was also using GarageBand. And because I'd gotten sick of the Pro Tools, and then I moved to Mac, and it was like, oh, this is all so hard. Oh, I still had the Pro Tools actually, but it would always break down. You update your computer and then it's, oh, the program's no longer compatible and I have to pay another few $1,000s for this thing. Anyway, so I was like, someone else can help me with this stuff and I don't have to get frustrated, because that would destroy my creativity, the frustration of it. And so that's a long-winded way of giving you that answer, but I think the story's kind of fun. that sometimes you have to be open to other things in order to find that magic. Now, on a psychological scale, I'm high on openness. I think I'm 92% open, right, on the Big Five scale. So a lot of musicians and singer-songwriters and people like that are high on openness because that's part of a creativity trait. But even if you're really high on openness, you can be closed to ideas. So that 8% of not being open has been blocking me all this time what am I missing out on? Like, that's what I was thinking. When I found this, I was like, hang on a minute, I could have done this ages ago. I could have actually, would have I done it ages ago? Probably not. But the situation had led itself to that point. And so then from there, I was kind of hooked on the process. And that's when I was like, oh, this is like a therapy for me. Like, as in, I feel this such a release of knowing that if I write this song, someone else can help me with these other things that I find so hard to do, and the song can come out like magic and beautiful and lovely. And also then, to have your voice properly recorded and to hear it sound so perfect and so beautiful and lovely, and to have someone else bring attention to detail where like you might not have attention to detail is a good thing. Now, you can think of that in your music marketing as well, but so that's helped me create a product. Now, I think if I'd have met Rob Mack, who's the marketing guy that I use, and I hadn't have met Rob Agassini, the producer that I use, I don't think Rob Mack would have been able to help me with the marketing of a shit product. I'm not saying my voice is shit, but the product has to be right. And so you need to spend the money or the time or whatever it takes to get that product. You have to have a good product, but you can also have a brilliant, awesome, beautiful product. And if no one ever opens the shop door, no one ever sees that product, no one can ever buy it because they don't know it exists. So that's kind of what marketing is. It's showing people the beautiful product. But I meet a lot of singer-songwriters in the industry, especially people who are starting out, and they're reluctant to spend the money and the time. And I fully understand that because I was as well. So, like, that would be my advice to people who are hearing this and thinking, how do I get started? How do I get into it? Because I feel like I've gotten a decent amount of success in a short amount of time for what I've done. And that's come about by meeting the right people, to be honestly clear, like to be honestly as honest as I can, or as to really think about it. I think it's because I've met those right people, and I could have met those right people and done nothing with those people. So it's not about just spending money, chucking the money into the air with those money guns and hoping that it does something. It's not about that, because I had tried that approach myself with marketing a little bit. And again, you come back to that point I was saying before, if you're not sure if you're going in the right direction, you're reluctant to push more funds into something or more time into something if you're not sure if it's right. Now, not everything I've done with Rob Mack, my marketing guy, has resulted in what we would have hoped for, but you don't know until you test it. You have to keep testing these things. What I love about Facebook ads is that you can see. Now, you can do this with Google ads as well. You can see the back end. You can see whether people are engaging in the stuff or not. And so if you've got any sense of analytical mind about you, you can look at those things and work it out and then start to hone it in. I mean, it's an amazing tool that we have, right?
What has been your experience with building a fan base, and what have you learnt along the way?
So I think I've already answered this question in the context of the other questions, but one is what I've learned about the fan base would be the interaction that you can have with them. Something I learned from Gary Vee a long time ago, before I even did music, was he said, if you build something online, always interact with people, always thank them, always comment. If someone comments, you make a comment. Now, a good rule for YouTube is if someone comments, you comment, and now YouTube sees 2 comments. It's not hard. So they actually count that as 2 comments, right? It sees that, the algorithm sees that as more interaction. So that's helpful for you. When was the last time you were on social media or on YouTube? People spend time reading comments, and they read who's comment, and they see, oh, does this creator actually comment on the comments? They actually know that. They can see that. And I have another YouTube channel for my medicine, my healthcare stuff that I do, my business that pays for the music. And so I found that to be useful there, and I've got quite a good YouTube channel that I have for that. Now, music, I don't really do a lot of YouTube stuff. I wouldn't class myself as a YouTuber, but whenever I run Facebook ads or whenever I post, I try to comment. Now, I'll either like people's things. I don't always comment, but another thing to remember is that what people say says more about them than about you. So yes, you have to be prepared that people are going to say something back to you. But you have to kind of take a breath and just say, this person might be hurting right now. That doesn't excuse their behaviour. It doesn't make it okay. But you can turn that around and you can build super fans out of those people sometimes too. And I've had that experience before. I had a so what I say about commenting all the time, I comment regularly, right? And I put up a post about something and I'd ask for fans engagement, right? I'd said something, or I can't even remember what it was, right? And I had commented on 2 or 3 things and then I'd gone to bed, as you do. And I didn't look on the social media maybe all the next day. Or maybe I looked on it, but I didn't have time to comment on everything there. So I just left it. And then I come back and I had this message from one of my fans, and he'd said something like, Marie, you never commented. You asked for people's comments, and you only comment on 2 things, and you never commented back to me or something. You never replied to me. And you shouldn't put things out there and not reply, ask people for something and then not reply to them. So rude. Now, it'd probably been, let's say 24 hours, not longer than that. And, I thought, mate, this guy's got another thing coming. That's what I was thinking in my mind. What does he think I am? A commenting machine, a replying machine. I'm not even making any money from this business. I'm just putting my art out there. I don't know. And, he doesn't know what's going on in my life and everything like that. And I also don't know what's going on in his life. So I could have been angry and rude at that point and said, well, why don't you F off or whatever. I could have said a number of things. I could have said nothing. Could have just ignored it. Thought I don't have time to deal with this. And look, maybe I won't deal with these things like this every time because I might not have time for that. That's a good problem to have, right? To be bigger and not, but at the level I'm at, I have the time to do that, and I want to grow real, true fans. And I just said to him, look, sorry. I just told him honestly something like, hey, sorry, mate. I'm just really busy, and I was, I'm on the other side of the world to people, and appreciate people's comments, but I like to take the time to write something back meaningfully. And I wasn't ignoring you, I didn't have time to come back and write something. And he had come back and said, oh look, I'm really sorry, I was drunk last night or something, and I didn't mean to say it like that, and I'm just going through a really tough time with something else that he's going through. So I'm not excusing people who are trolling or doing this bully behaviour or anything like that. No, I wouldn't class him as that kind of thing anyway. But what I'm saying is sometimes you can jump to these conclusions, but actually what people are saying says more about them than you. And you always have to remember that, because if you're putting stuff out there, especially art that means something to you and it's personal to you, and you're, people are sometimes jealous. They're just thinking, why I want to do that? Why are you getting success from that? And they perceive that you're more successful than you really are. I mean, I had someone once comment, this was probably the worst one that I got, something like, you're a superstar now, you need to fix your hair, it's so dry and brittle. Something like that. I was like, what? I'm not a superstar. This is just someone from the internet that's watched a lot of my videos. And, maybe my hair was dry and brittle on that video. I don't know. But I really, for some reason, there was hundreds of other people commenting nice things. I love your song. Oh, your song really helped me. Look at all those comments that I've got on my phone with all these people's stories. And then this one lady, I'm like, that's what you think about in your mind. You think, oh, you bitch, why are you saying that? But it's very hard to just ignore them. I think it's just human nature. It's hard to ignore that. And, you're not at the level where you can just go, oh, I'm not going to go in the comments. I see people like Joe Rogan says that all the time. He's like, oh, I don't go into comments and read people's comments. I was like, well, you have the luxury of not, you can still be successful in your business and you don't have to do that. But as an independent artist, you have to engage with people because that's important. That's part of what's important. So
earning an income within music can be very challenging and often requires a diverse source of income streams. What are some of the streams of income you have relating to your music?
So I don't have any streams of income relating to my music right now. I've just put all my money into building a fan base, and now I'm gonna sell an album. So when I have the album, I'll have an album that they can see, and there'll be a digital album that they can download. There'll be a physical CD. I also do art like this, so I'm going to have some of my art, and a lot of the one you can see in the corner there that's not just the little tiny corner of it, the white one, that's actually a giant one of an album cover. So I'll have those things as for sale at some point. So I probably won't sell that exact one because I love that so much. But I do have some of my singles I've made as art, and I've got bags and merchandise, t-shirts. I'll have that kind of stuff. I'm also going to do a Patreon that I've planned out so people can subscribe for a year, and they'll be able to get the merchandise through the Patreon type of a thing. It might not be Patreon, it might be Buy Me a Coffee or one of those platforms, and there'll be some kind of subscription based thing where they'll also get access to some digital products, and they'll also get access to some time based products where I might do a songwriting session with fans, or some behind the scenes things that I only do for fans, not only fans but fans only, something like that. So I don't have a lot of other income streams relating. I mean, you can do gigs, you can do paid online gigs and things like that, and I might look at doing that in the future, but I'm not sure. I'm not at the point where I'm drawing an income from music. I also subscribe to some of these song link type of things where you get references, call outs for songs. So if I write songs and I might be like, well, I haven't put that one out yet, I'll send it to some other people doing that. I think sync placements, you can get money from that. I haven't done that before, but I think that'd be good. These are all just things that take time to kind of do. You can get money from Spotify and royalties from your local place. Like I've gotten royalty money from radio plays. Not much money, but that's something. It's like a few dollars. Like, okay, you get a few dollars here, you get a few dollars there. You can buy yourself a t-shirt. I don't know. I'm probably not the best person to ask about how you make the money. I can tell you how you can spend the money.
What advice would you give to an artist that's watching or listening to this who is beginning to embark on their own independent musical journey?
I think, firstly, if you're supposed to be doing this, then do it. And you'll know that. I think you'll know. And that's for me. I was like, I feel like I'm supposed to be doing this. When I was younger, I knew I could do music, but I didn't think I was supposed to be doing it. I was like, and doing all the other stuff in life has made me a good songwriter now. Like I've got something to write about. And I kind of admire people who are young people who write these. Not admire, but I kind of am perplexed. Like, how did you get that experience, or how to articulate that? You know, sometimes I feel like songs don't just come from us, they come from some other connection, right? So for me, a spiritual connection is a part of my life. And I wonder sometimes whether the songs are coming from that, and that's how young people are writing these wise, beyond their years songs, like reflecting on the experience that you've had. So my advice for people getting into the industry would be, if you feel like you're supposed to be doing it, well, that should be enough for you to do it. And that's how I've done everything else in my life. Like, if I'm supposed to be doing it, I'll find a way. I'll make a way, right? A way will be made for me, or I will be making the way, and I will go through the path. So there might not be a path that exists. And that's what it was like for me. I was like, I'm supposed to be doing this, and I'm just going to take the steps that I can see, and then trust that I'm going to find the next thing. And that's what's happened for me. So I know the next journey is going to be, a different one to what I've gone through so far. The things that have worked for you in the past might not work for you in the future, let's say. So when you get to that next point where you can't see the way, and you know you're supposed to be doing it, that desire and that passion will help you you will make your own way, or a way will be made for you. So whether you believe in like a spiritual belief of the world, or, some kind of universal, universal basic income. I mean, some kind of universe force or whatever. For me, it's a very clear spiritual belief. Like, I believe in God, and I believe that, if you're supposed to be doing the right thing, for you, then the path will be made. Now, that doesn't mean that a light opens up and everything happens naturally for you, but it means that it'll become known to you what you have to do. Now, often you have to work really hard for that, and you have to keep, struggle through, but there's a way. And so I would just say that if that's what you believe you're supposed to be doing, then start doing it. And you don't do anything without starting to do it. I see a lot of musicians that I know who are very good wait, and they wait almost too long, and they don't put anything out there because their art's not perfect enough. I kind of suffer from the other thing where I'll just put things out there because I'm like, oh, this is so great, it's an idea. And I've learned a lot by collaborating with other people and finding other people that I trust to work with. And that could help you if you're that sort of person. But don't wait until everything's perfect before you start putting things out there, because you need to build a fan base, especially if you're going to be independent, or if you want to build up if you want to be signed by a label these days, most labels want to see that you've already got some independent fan base. And then you're like, well, if I've already spent the money and the time getting that independent fan base, why would I give it all to you? I don't know how that works, but that's what they expect. So either way, you've got to build up that independent fan base. And you can't get that by putting something out there. So you've got to start. You've just got to start. And that's what Gary V says, Gary Vaynerchuk. He's a great person to follow in marketing. He just goes, if you're supposed to be doing it, just start doing it. And the fans will tell you what they like. And that will guide you into what sort of content to keep putting out. Now, if it's your art and you're like, you don't have to do what other people are asking you to do, but at some point you've got to put something there to get that feedback. And also then if that's really what you want to do and you're not getting that feedback, then find some people who really like it, or find a marketing person that can help you find those people who really like your art, because those people probably exist out there in the world. And that's something I learned by working with Rob Mack doing the marketing. He said to me once, he goes, Marie, there's lots of different styles of music, and some might seem not great to others. He goes, but there's generally, unless it's like terrible, their guitar's out of tune and their voice isn't, I mean, I've even seen people make it that their voice isn't great, but they've got some other things going for them somehow. But let's say in general, it's a sound quality product, it's in tune and whatever, then like he says, anyone can, there's fans. Oh, we just have to cut that out, sorry, my phone started calling, my mum's calling me, that your fans, there's fans out there for everyone. So no matter if you think, I've got this real tiny niche, like with the way the world works now, with your access to social media, you can find fans no matter even if you've got like really niche market music and niche market stuff. So thank you so much for your attention. So you can find my music on Marie Hopkinson, mariehopkinsonmusic.com. You can get a free EP from me, and you can jump into my mailing list and find out more about the music that I do when I'm launching my album. That's the best way to sort of connect with me directly. If you send me an email, I'll send you an email back. And you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, the same, Marie Hopkinson Music. So I hope you're doing well. And if you're an independent artist watching this podcast, this YouTube experience, collaboration, it's so great to kind of meet up with other musicians. So hit me up if you want to connect. I'm open to those kinds of things as well. And thank you so much for having me on the 100 Indie Artists project.